Back at y'all with another episode of the Major Music Lounge podcast. If this is your first time here, I'd like to talk a variety of different things such as music production, and within the music production space, I may talk to music production app developers, sound designers, just producers who like to talk about music production, maybe some of the projects that they're working on. Also, if they have any placements, and then also for like artists. We may talk about some of the similar topics when it comes to artists, as far as if they have any projects or albums or anything that they're working on, and if any of the artists or producers are also like content creators such as myself, we may get into some of those topics as well. So this is what this podcast is about, just other creators coming on sometimes to talk about their journey in creating music, maybe how they promote themselves, maybe how they got some of the opportunities that they got, or similar topics to that. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button. This podcast is not only available here on this channel, but also on all podcast streaming platforms. So today's topic is going to be about what defines success to you in the music creation space. And that's a very kind of broad topic, but with that being said, success is going to have a different definition for each of us, and we all have different goals. So from someone that's outside of music, they may not create music, they don't necessarily know all the available opportunities or all the different ways that you can make money off of music. They may only think that signing with a record label is being successful, and that might be your goal, but again, that's not necessarily the only way. So I just posed that question because a lot of times, and I got this from watching the Curtis King podcast here on YouTube. For those of you who don't know who Curtis King is, he's also another creator here on YouTube. Curtis King did a video talking about basically counting some of those smaller victories that you might have that might be successful. That is a form of success there, and I totally agree. I think I came across that clip on Curtis King's TikTok account. So if you follow him on TikTok, I don't know, he may have also posted that to his Instagram. So go ahead, check it out. But yeah, it kind of made me think about, like, what does success mean to you? Because there's lots of different ways in 2022 to have success as a creator. From someone on the outside looking in, that could be the perception of wealth, that you have money, that they might see you online posting pictures of everything you're doing, or every time you get something new, or every time you travel, or when you go to a restaurant, things along those lines. But then, as I said earlier, the perception that you've made it or signed to a record label could mean that, to them, you're successful. But you may not be the type of person that posts things like that, like you may keep all your wins to yourself behind closed doors, just to win in private, and nothing's wrong with that as well. I do that myself from time to time. I don't necessarily post every time I get an opportunity, or just something happens good behind the scenes when it comes to some of the music that I create. Now, when I look at my own personal situation, I look at a number of things. I have a placement on a video game called Hustle Kings, and I said that a few times on my podcast before, but that's a victory of mine. Another victory of mine is creating this platform here for not just a podcast where other creators can come on and be able to tell their stories, but also it's allowed me over the last 2 years or so, since I've been doing this podcast and since I've been creating content, for me to also link other creators together through my podcast, and allowed me to work with some other creators like Rook One, for example, who I did the video and the song recently for at a different speed, but I met him through another interview that I did for my podcast. So that always led me to other opportunities there and allowed my platform to grow. and I consider that is success because, yeah, so a lot of people think, podcasts, when podcasts first start out, they don't always last long. And there have been times, for example, along the way where things got kind of slow and I didn't have as many guests on that I had previously. And I had to learn how to do solo episodes, kind of like I'm doing now. But I also did see, to a degree, depending on the topic that I have for that week, that sometimes people take interest in some of the topics that I present. So that's why I like to do these solo episodes from time to time. But I mean, outside of that, let's kind of go back to the whole label topic, for example. With the whole label topic, like in 2022, and most people outside of music that don't really follow the industry closely, they may not know this, but there are a lot more, of course, independent musicians, given the way that you can create music now from your own home. I mean, I'm sitting in the home studio practically right now, and most of my projects are pretty much recorded here at my home. So that's one. And there are a lot of other artists who some have bigger followings, some have smaller followings, but I say that to say, in a lot of cases, they're able to make money off of their craft, whether that's off of streaming. And I know, like, unless you have a pretty big following, that streaming dollars, and then in them, some of them cases aren't really enough. I hear the stories from artists with thousands of fans that, like, I won't say the platform, but there's a certain platform that really don't pay anything for a stream, and you may get more money off of like full album sales opposed to streams. I mean, that's just a fact there, but you could basically make money off of your music. There's even other platforms like a Bandcamp, for example, where you pretty much get all the profit on Bandcamp. Now that would be a little bit different approach as far as how you might promote that, because not everybody is going to have access to Bandcamp, and you could get the app, but just think about, it really depends on your following. If you post online, hey, this is available on Bandcamp, and they make the purchase anyhow through Bandcamp, you can make a lot more money selling directly to fans opposed to these other streaming platforms where you may not make as much. So I say that only because there are some artists out there that they have a big enough fan base and a big enough following to be able to make a pretty decent amount of money selling their music through Bandcamp. So, and from a production standpoint, there are platforms, of course, like a BeatStars, like a Airbit, and then there's like United Masters. I think they offer a beat selling platform on their website for producers as well. But there are several producers out there that have landed major placements through one of these platforms. I know BeatStars, they have partnerships with different artists from time to time where you can download their vocals and build a song around their vocals, submit it, and if the artist rocks with it, they might select yours, and then you might get some exposure there and get a chance to work with that artist down the line as a part of that contest. So, and there are no doubt other creators that are becoming successful off of these platforms like that by winning some of these contests. Aside from that, just producers on these platforms that are selling their beats to different artists being able to land placements that they're still getting royalties off of. So that's why I always say that just because of someone's perception that you may not be doing certain things doesn't necessarily mean that you're not successful in what you do. And I've sold beats on BeatStars before, so it's definitely something that can be done. If you've done it once, try to do it twice. And sometimes the hardest part is selling your first beat. Now, me myself, I've sold beats on BeatStars before. However, I would like to sell more on a consistent basis, but that still doesn't stop me from posting some of my work on a weekly basis and making others aware that You know, I still do make beats. I am a producer more so than I am an artist. I only say that to say that if you do make beats and you're not posting your work to like Instagram, or if you're not on one of these platforms, that your instrumentals, they won't do you any justice by sitting on your computer. And I've said that on several episodes of my podcast before, and that's why I post my beats weekly. New beats that I upload to BeatStars, and I kind of got at least 1 or 2 days every week where I'm posting new instrumentals in addition to the beat making videos that I do as well. So any platform that you can sell your beats on, and that also helps to get you more opportunities to link with other major artists and independent artists out there as well, I think is a plus and a great way for you to create another stream of revenue. And this is kind of why I started creating content years ago, because I saw an opportunity, and a lot of people saw an opportunity during the pandemic where they were at home, they wanted to be able to start creating content. And it all started with an MPC1 video that I posted in 2019, I believe, or 2020. And from that video, it started getting a lot of views. I started then creating more videos around the MPC and then beat making videos with that. But it's allowed me to be able to, build my platform further, to be able to help other producers and artists, and also be able to, in some cases, sell some of those beats that I was working on. Now, I'm not necessarily sure how many views you have to have in order to make a sustainable or livable income from YouTube, but I do know there are a lot of creators now. Obviously, they have a lot more of a following than I do here on this platform. I'm kind of over 1,500 followers as we speak, but I think when I started putting out content on a consistent basis, at that time I only had like about 400 or 500 followers. So to say where I am now, that's progress, and that's another thing I would consider success. Anything that's really getting me closer to being able to start making more money off of YouTube and the content that I create, because I do still work a 9-to-5 job, but this is something that at some point I want to transition into, and I would like to transition into, because I want to be more involved in the music creation platform and content creation platform. I want to get more involved with the podcast and just bring more videos about everything that I do and be able to connect with more artists. I just want to connect with a lot of other creators to continue pushing this whole platform forward. So, and not only from YouTube, but also I hear some other people, but sponsorships, and a lot of other creators, they may actually have these deals with these major companies, these music production companies like A Native Instruments, for example, or a Akai or whoever, and they may work out an agreement that to be a part of that promotional video, they get an X amount of dollars, and they agree to do that. And to people, again, who don't necessarily follow the ways that a musician or a music producer or a creator can make money within the industry, they think it's just off of a record label and not off of sponsorship. They don't necessarily see these opportunities that we can see that other content creators are getting with these music production companies. So this can run deep. There's a lot of different ways you can be successful in this music creation space, and whatever it is, whether it's a small victory, whether it's a placement, a opportunity you found on YouTube, whether it's an opportunity you got on any of these platforms that has either got you paid, got you more exposure, or led you to another opportunity from just doing whatever it was to get you in that position in the first place, I think that is success. So don't ever discount any of the things that you're doing just because you look over and you see somebody else doing something that you want to do, but find out how they got in that position. That way you can better get yourself in that position. If it's hitting up some of these companies directly to find out about some of these opportunities, or I know in a lot of cases, like I spoke on BeatStars earlier, but they post a lot of positions that they have open within their company on their social media platforms. So it's going to be a lot of different opportunities. It may not be that big thing that people are going to say you quote unquote made it, but the thing that matters is that you're paid, you're good, your family's good, and you enjoy what you do. Because again, everybody's definition of success is going to be different, so you can't sleep on those small victories anytime you get one. That's all I wanted to talk about in today's episode. If you did like this episode, you can go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're following on one of these streaming platforms, go ahead, leave a comment, a review on the Major Music Lounge podcast. Let us know what you thought. And also, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at d._major music. Follow me on Twitter at d.mme. If you're a music creator, music producer that's into app development, sound design, if you just like talking about music production and want to come on and have a conversation maybe about DAWs or whatever it is you're using, definitely reach out to me on one of those platforms. Same thing if you're an artist with a new project, new album. Also, the same thing with producers. If y'all create content, I would definitely like to have you on the show as well. We could talk about that. Hit me up on one of those platforms. Until next time, it's your boy D. Dot, and I'm out.